What's up guys, it's DC here and welcome to the channel. Season 5 dropped on Apex a week ago and today I'm going to be ranking all the legends from the worst to the best. This Season 5 update brought some massive changes to the legends. Aside from the brand new addition of Lobo, like normal, some legends were buffed while others were nerfed, and even one got an entire rework. I'm looking at you, Mirage. I don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, coming in at number 13 as the worst legend in Apex currently, shouldn't really be a surprise. It's gonna be Octane. While Octane can be fun to use, especially if you want to play aggressively, he just doesn't offer that much to the team aspect of Apex. The most annoying thing about him is that when you use his tactical stim, it costs you 10% of your health. Even though he has a passive that allows him to regenerate that health back, it can take some time, and when you're pushing into a gunfight or trying to escape one, you can be at a huge disadvantage with that loss of health. His jump pad got a buff this season to where the cooldown for it is only 60 seconds now instead of 90, but even so I just don't see teammates ever using it, especially when you have Pathfinder's zipline or Wraith's portal or even now Lobo's teleporting bracelet. Don't get me wrong, Octane is fun to use, he's probably the best at outrunning the ring, but his kit just doesn't really offer enough to move him above the 13 spot. Slightly beating out Octane for the number 12 spot is Bangalore. Bangalore's passive is known as double time, which allows her to move faster when taking fire. This passive can be very useful in tight situations, especially close combat, but it doesn't help as much when you're in an open area and the enemy team has a clear sight on you. Her tactical smoke grenades can also be very useful in the right situation, including looting death boxes after a fight, resing a teammate during or after a fight, or even trying to heal in the middle of one. The downside to her smoke is that if you're going against a Bloodhound or even someone who has a digital threat, you pretty much don't stand a chance hiding in your smoke. What really brings Bangalore down though is her ultimate, Rolling Thunder. In my opinion, Rolling Thunder is a very weak ultimate. First of all, it takes forever to go off because it lays down all the missiles in a line before they detonate. And this gives the enemies so much time to get out of a blast radius. I mean, you'd be lucky to damage any of them half the time. Plus, these missiles even disorient and slow your own teammates if they're in the blast radius. Like, whose idea was that? I mean, unfortunately, Bangalore is just not as strong as some would like her to be. Coming in at number 11 is Crypto. Now, Crypto has perhaps one of the largest skill caps of any legend, but he can also be very polarizing. When you think of Crypto, you think of his drone, because that's pretty much all he's got. His passive Neuralink allows him and his teammates to see what the drone detects up to 30 meters away, which you think would just be a given with his drone, but they made it his passive ability. His drone is probably the most polarizing though, because for some, it can take a while to get used to and can be hard to control. It's the best for spotting enemies on the map, it can grab dead teammate banners, and now with this Season 5 update you're able to ping while in the drone. His EMP ultimate is also pretty powerful and is good for pushing a team, especially since Crypto's teammates aren't affected by it anymore. Unfortunately, Crypto has to be stationary when using his drone, so if you deploy the drone when you're out in the open, you're a sitting duck. Since his drone has a vast distance it can cover, it's pretty common that you will be sitting back and droning while your teammates are getting into a fight, and next thing you know, your teammates are knocked and you're late to the party, which isn't good. His drone isn't too difficult to shoot down either, so if you're trying to EMP a team and your drone gets shot down, you have to wait for another drone to recharge before you can EMP again. Overall, Crypto mains are able to utilize him effectively, but he isn't that appealing to the average player. Gotta hop up here, Scorpiosa. Alright, that was my impression of Lifeline, I apologize for that. But anyway, she's gonna be our number 10 spot. Lifeline's got a lot of great things going for her, but she just gets bumped down mainly because other legends can do what she can, just better. Her shield while resing has always been good and can come in clutch. The blue bins this season have been increased by 20%, and knockdown shields have been removed from the secret compartment, giving a much higher chance for some key loot. Her health drone dock is always good for healing after fights, but not really during them, and especially not if you're in the ring, because it'll be destroyed. Although ultimate accelerants exist and charge towers are added, if you're not able to use those, then you're going to have to wait a really long time to use her care package, 6 minutes in fact, making it the slowest charging ult out of any legend. Another downside of her ultimate is that it's very loud, letting enemies know where you are. And half the time you get a purple knockdown from it, which nobody wants. Her low profile nerf of 5% increased damage can hurt in some situations because she doesn't have any mobility really. Lifeline has been a staple of Apex since it launched, but her abilities just can't bring her above the 10 spot for me. Shh, it's just a bad dream. Alright, maybe I gotta stop doing these impressions, but anyway, ladies and gents, number 9 is the murder bot himself, Revenant. At the start of Season 4, Revenant was arguably the worst legend, but since that time he's gotten some major buffs that have pushed him out of that hole. His passive ability to climb higher and crouch walk faster makes it much easier to sneak up on a team. His tactical silencer has 2 charges now and lasts 20 seconds, making it much more viable to use. But even so, I find myself wanting to use it a little too often when I should just be shooting the enemy. Because there's a little delay on using it and switching back to firing your gun, you can end up dying sometimes from that. His death totem now brings you back with 50 health instead of only 1, so you're able to get back into the fight almost immediately rather than in the past when you almost always had to use a medkit. I think the death totem radius could be a little larger, and it's really important when and where you place the totem because if you make a mistake you could be downed without a second chance. The legend with the biggest nerf this season comes in at number 8, and that's Pathfinder. Arguably the biggest surprise this season was finding out that Pathy's grapple has a 35-second cooldown now instead of just 15 seconds. Oh, the poor Pathy mains, I feel your pain. Being able to casually grapple away from a fight at will, no repercussions or anything, was amazing back in the day, but those days are gone. Fighting against Pathfinder was so infuriating half the time because you would get him weak, but then he would just grapple away. But the devs have said, no, if you're going to use Pathfinder now, you're going to have to be smart about it. His passive ability to scan where the next ring is has always been great, and his zipline is and always will be very strong. I put him at the number 8 spot for now because it's going to take some time to see how players will adjust to using him with the 35-second cooldown. He's always been a top tier legend, and I have no doubt that he'll work his way back up there eventually. Coming in at number 7, right after the legend with the biggest downfall, comes the legend with the biggest upgrade, and that is Mirage. Mirage got totally reworked. He's practically a completely different legend now. Oh, how Mirage mains have waited so long for this. Let's start with his passive. In addition to cloaking while he's downed, Mirage now cloaks while he's rezzing and respawning, which is huge. You can literally res someone mid-fight and they won't be able to get you unless they listen closely and or if they're lucky. His tactical decoy now lasts up to 60 seconds and you can control it, making it mimic your every move, in turn making it way easier to bamboozle people. His ultimate life of the party is his tactical on steroids, as it deploys an entire team of decoys that mimic your every move. And the great thing about it is it only has a 60-second cooldown. Once people get the hang of controlling his decoys, he's going to be hard to stop. Mirage is finally getting the attention he deserves, and you love to see it. Lobo comes in at number 6. Lobo is no doubt one of the strongest legends upon release. Her passive ability to see purple and gold loot through walls gives you a huge advantage right off the drop. Her tactical, Burglar's Best Friend, is a teleporting bracelet that can travel up to 70 meters, so it's basically a get out of jail free card if you're in a sticky situation. You can use it to escape enemies or the ring, get the high ground, or even pinch or flank a team. There are some downsides, however, to her bracelet though, because A, you can't run while using it, B, it's pretty loud, C, once deployed, it can't be cancelled, so you have to wait for it, and D, there's a delay of being able to shoot once you reach your destination, so I highly recommend to not throw it right at a team waiting for you unless you want to be sent back to the lobby. Her ultimate, Black Market Boutique, is basically the better version of Lifeline's care package, allowing 2 items to be picked from all loot in its radius, which is good in so many different situations. Definitely be sure to use her ultimate accelerants and charge towers consistently to deploy the black market as much as possible, but also be sure to collapse it so enemies can't use it. Ladies and gentlemen, starting off the top 5 is Caustic. Caustic received a couple buffs this season, starting with his traps not being able to be triggered from the other side of a door. This is important because now enemies will walk in without knowing there's a trap. Unless they have a Wraith that can warn them, but otherwise they'll be caught off guard. The next buff is that Caustic teammates aren't slowed by his gas anymore. Hallelujah! It was always frustrating being a teammate of Caustic's because you'd be slowed and it would be hard to maneuver in the gas, but now it gives that teammates a big advantage. Caustic also has the Fortified perk of 15% reduced damage, fortifying, pun definitely intended, his spot as a top 5 legend. If the gods will it, we win! Bloodhound has taken the number 4 spot in this list. Bloodhound also got some major buffs to his tactical ability, Eye of the Allfather, this season. Its cooldown was decreased from 35 seconds to 25 seconds, and its ability to scan enemy movements was increased from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. That is huge because now you and your teammates are able to see where enemies are more often and for a longer time, making him, in my opinion, the best tracker in Apex. His ultimate has always been great, and I would always carry accelerants for him because no other ultimate gives you that good of a tactical advantage in a fight. We've reached the top 3, and if you've been enjoying the content, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. This is my first video after all, and I would greatly appreciate the support. Coming in at number 3 is Gibraltar. What a turnaround it's been for Gibby, from the start of Apex to now. In the beginning, I feel like no one ever wanted to play him. Maybe it was because he always felt slower and weaker than the other legends, but boy has that changed. He's got the fortified perk of 15% damage reduction, add that to a gun shield and it's really tough to knock Gibraltar. Even though his dome shield got nerfed from 18 seconds to only 12 seconds duration this season, it is still very viable and clutch. He can res and heal as fast, if not faster than Lifeline, under his dome. And it's perfect for protection and healing out in the open. His airstrike makes Bangalore's look like a rainfall, as his detonates immediately, making it very difficult for enemies to avoid its radius in time. And it also doesn't even affect his teammates. Gibby is now at the forefront of competitive play, and it's hard to see him moving anytime soon.
I am currently at the top of my game. Get it?
Our runner-up is Wattson. Wattson is a very handy and also a very unique legend. You pretty much always see a Wattson on almost every high-level squad, and for good reason. No other legend is as good as defending a building in Apex as Wattson. Her ability to do so proves especially beneficial in late game situations. Her fences are strong and can be placed in certain ways in which the enemy can't destroy them unless they dare come through. She has one of the best ultimates in the game. Her pylon blocks incoming ordnance including grenades, airstrikes, and even Lobo's bracelet. Her ultimate charges everyone's body shields around it, and it also boosts Wattson's fences to where she can carry 12 nodes in a shorter time. Not to mention, her passive allows her ultimate to be charged fully when using an accelerant instead of the standard 35%. She may have low profile, but she is still hard to hit. Our number 1 legend should be no surprise to anyone. It's Wraith. Wraith has always been one of the strongest legends since day 1, which is why Respawn has tried numerous times to nerf and balance her, but she is still great. She has the best mobility in the game with her portal, her tactical Into the Void literally makes her invulnerable for a short time, and her passive allows her to warn her teammates when she's being aimed at or when there's traps. She's the hardest legend to land shots on, which is why she has low profile, but it doesn't affect her too much. Wraith mains, myself included, find ways to maneuver her portal in the most effective ways, and know when to use her void. Wraith's kit makes her perhaps the best team player in Apex, while being very strong on her own, which is what Apex is all about. Alright guys, that is my list. Thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you thought, whether you agree with me or not, and be willing to share your own list too. Again, this is my first video, and I really appreciate all the support. I have many plans for this channel in the future, and am excited to put them in action. I can't make any promises, but I plan on uploading at least once or twice a week, and I think I want to focus on Apex and Rocket League to start. In the future I might include some other games like COD or Fortnite, but for now these two are my favorite games, and that's what I want to make content on. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next vid. DC out!